If you screwed up...
Coming up next, we're going to talk to a man by the name of Sean Chaney. He's behind the restaurants Hot's Kitchen and Hot's Cantina, and he is among a number of chefs who have been serving foie gras, particularly since a federal judge overturned our ban, and they're getting death threats.
Mm-hmm. Yes, the rational world of animal rights wackos. John and Ken Show, and Rob Archer has the news. John and Ken Show, John Cobell and Ken Shampoo, right. KFI, AM 640. So, I don't know how much you keep track of this stuff, but some people like duck liver and goose liver when they go to a restaurant. And to get the duck liver really fatty, you have to force feed the duck. Literally shove food down their throats until it fattens the duck.
Well, the state legislature passed a law in 2004 which banned the production and sale of foie gras, but it didn't take effect until 2012. And just last week, a federal judge overturned California's ban on foie gras. There have been many in the state who are unhappy with the ban. It's a delicacy enjoyed by many people. Clearly, there are some animal rights people who are happy about the ban and unhappy about this judge's decision.
The judge just said that federal law rules here. The Department of Agriculture has the sole power to regulate poultry products. State can't do that.
So the story now is that some of the chefs who are serving foie gras are facing death threats, so we're going to talk to one now.
We got Chef Sean Chaney from Hot's Kitchen.
And Hot's Cantina.
All right, let's get Sean on. Welcome to the John and Ken Show.
How you guys doing?
We're doing well. So how are you getting these death threats? On the phone, through the email, on Facebook?
Facebook, Instagram, and, on the phone. You know, the regular, not-to-your-face type stuff.
Now, if I remember correctly, you were pretty much out in front trying to fight this ban, I think, right?
Yeah, I was the plaintiff, the only restaurant plaintiff in the case.
Explain to our listeners, then, how foie gras is made first.
Yeah, why is it such a problem for these activists?
Well, you mean extremists.
Yes.
It's the last literally 14 to 21 days of a duck's life. It's about 5 to 10 seconds of force feeding at the time, and it's the gravage, they call it, and it's takes about 5 to 12 seconds each time. So over a duck's life, it's really not that long.
So but when you say it's their last part of their life, it's because they're raised to eventually...
They're raised for slaughter.
For slaughter, for their livers to be used, yeah.
For the whole duck, not just the
liver.
Oh, yeah,
not just the liver, that's true.
Yeah. So how the rest of the duck away.
How many force feedings are there again?
Well, there's generally about 3 a day. Some farms feed 2, some feed 3.
And that's just over the last 2 weeks of their life?
14 to 21 days of the duck's life.
I see.
And it's a tube down the throat? What is it?
Yeah, it's a tube that is inserted, and the food is put down the throat.
And the force feeding only takes a few seconds, you said?
Yeah, it generally takes about 5 to 12 seconds, I think.
Well, this is
it's different. Some are gravity, some is pushed in a little faster.
Right, and the duck feels discomfort from this, or we don't know?
Well, ducks don't have I don't know any duck whisperers out there, but ducks don't have a gag reflex like humans. So to compare a duck to the anatomy of a human is just, it's false and wrong.
So have you ever seen this done, though?
Yeah.
You've seen the force feeding?
Yeah.
And what's the duck doing? Nothing? Just...
Nothing. Sitting there.
Not a big deal.
A lot of this animals, these claims by animal extremists are really like crazy. Because I've actually never heard it explained. I never really paid attention to the foie gras debate. I just thought it was funny. I didn't know it was that benign.
It's not that big of a deal. I mean, there's other things out there in the world that are probably a lot worse.
Wow. So can I read? Can I read some of these death threats against you?
Sure.
I'm going to find you. I'm going to murder you. I'm going to find where you sleep and shove a pipe down your throat.
Oh.
If I don't do it, somebody else will.
Yeah, those are them.
I guess you've reported these?
Yeah, they were reported to the FBI.
There's a guy named Ken Frank. He owns the restaurant La Toque in Napa Valley.
Yeah,
and
Napa.
He said a good share of these death threats talk about shoving a pipe up my ass or down my throat, but it's the ones who'd like to see me hung by my feet and bleed to death with no anesthetic. Those are the most disturbing.
Yeah, I don't want to speak for Ken. He gets out there enough, and but I'm not so threatened by it. I think it's, rather comical that they'd rather kill a chef than kill a duck. So, it's funny to me.
So. If I recall correctly, you found a way sort of around the ban to still have foie gras. What was that you did?
So, we brought the lawsuit on in July 1st. It was a Sunday, so we brought it July 2nd, which is the first Monday, in 2012. Right after that, I decided that, okay, if we can't sell it, I will give it away complimentary. So if I gave it away with a burger. There was a complimentary side given away with that burger. Some PETA didn't like that, and they decided that they were going to sue me over that, which they did, and we've been in a legal battle for that for a while. But as of today, they just dismissed that lawsuit. So I don't hear them claiming anything about that yet.
Yeah, they do a lot of public theater.
Yeah, well, it's nice how they did it on a Friday, so no one's really saying anything.
Did you lose money on this? This expensive, isn't it?
Yeah, it's definitely costs money.
What does it taste like? Why do people who like it so much?
Well, it's nice and fatty.
It's delicious. I mean, it's hard to explain. It's a delicacy, but it's very delicious. The Japanese call it like umami. It's got a flavor that's like nothing else. It's very rich, and it matches well with all sorts of sorts of food, and it's you can't eat a lot of it because it's so rich. But it is one of those delicacies that you should enjoy once in a while in your life. It's great.
Well, explain to me why then you took this on. I see they even picketed outside your restaurant, Hot's Kitchen. Why did you decide to do this, Sean?
I did it as a point of freedom, and it was at a time where back then it was very difficult when I could tell my 13-year-old daughter that I could buy marijuana down the street, but Daddy can't sell duck liver, in California.
Yeah.
This just doesn't make sense.
It's not anybody's business, especially the government's. If you don't agree with the way ducks are fed, then don't eat the duck liver.
Don't eat these same people do not eat meat. I mean, they'll claim it in their thing. They're vegan. They don't want you to eat anything.
Yeah.
So what's next? Is it going to be the veal industry, the chicken industry? I don't see anybody, complaining about the 9 billion chickens a year that we're all eating.
I thought this was an odd one to pick for them.
Yeah, well, it's the smallest one. So, of course, it's the smallest part of the meat industry, the poultry industry. You're going to go after the duck farmers. There's only a few of them around. You're not going to go after the biggest ones.
And how much money did they spend on the legislators in Sacramento to get this thing passed? There must have been a lot of money exchanging hands.
Right. Well, and the truth is about that only put one farm out of business. So we basically passed a law to put one farm out of business. Sonoma Farms up in Sonoma.
I'm guessing this is not something the legislators cared about. They just got paid well.
Yeah, I don't know. That was back in 2004. I don't even think, most of these legislators aren't even there. The one who wrote it's not in office anymore, John Burton. Now I think he's head of the Democratic Party. So
yeah. They've all been termed out by now.
Now they're trying to get the Attorney General to appeal this, huh?
That's what they say. Anybody can appeal anything, right? You just have to. I think the court wrote a good ruling, and I think it's going to have a tough time to appeal this.
Meanwhile, are you taking any precautions?
No.
No.
Not really. I mean, I'm careful. I'm not, I'm not running around, screaming and yelling. I make my staff walk me out to the car.
And so none of these people has come to you face to face ever.
No, of course not. They don't have the guts. They would never come face to face with you. I have a feeling most of them don't even know what they're arguing about.
All right. Hey, Sean, thanks for coming on with us. Sean Chaney.
Hey, thanks a lot. Thanks for having me, guys.
All right, Chef Sean Chaney from Hot's Kitchen, and he's been at the forefront of the battle to get foie gras back on the menu at his restaurant. It's a bizarre, very small segment. We're only covering it because it's become, now it's reached a death threat level. Now that the federal judge has overturned the ban and restaurants like Sean's are serving the foie gras, the animal rights people are really worked up now.
They're just this is just crazy stuff. So the ducks are raised to become dinner.
They're slaughtered anyway. Duck parts are eaten. And you can eat a duck beak. Would you like one?
No, I don't think that's the edible part of the duck. The beak. No.
No.
So it's last 2 to 3 weeks of their life, and they get force-fed 2 or 3 times a day, and the force feeding is 5 to 10 seconds.
And he says they don't have a gag reflex, so
there's no reaction. There's no reaction. So this is
they get extra food, I think.
So this is nonsense.
To fatten up their liver.
This is made-up nonsense.
All right.
Hey, jeez.
The visit to the John and Ken Health and Science Desk is coming up next.
John and Ken Show, and Rob Archer has the news. What?
Everybody, wash your hands.
Listen to this closely.
Cover your mouth when you cough. If you are sick, stay home.
Die quickly.
And now, an update from the John and Ken Health and Science Desk. Here's John and Ken.
Somewhere in that I died, I think. John and Ken
Show. It does
Show.
seem like you just expired.
John Cobell and Ken Champo, KFI AM 640, the Health and Science Desk.
Yes, the first update is on the flu. Here are the latest numbers for the Centers for Disease Control. The current vaccine that most people are getting for this year's version of the flu is now down to 23% effectiveness. Normally, the flu vaccine is between 50 and 60% effective, but this year's vaccine is, not well matched to the dominant strain of the virus that's going around the country.
What a miss. What another government screw-up.
California,
How do you miss that badly?
Another government screw. Hey, Robin Abkarian said you're just anti-government.
Well, I'm using the facts here.
Yeah.
If the vaccine's not going to work on 3/4 of the people who take it,
but they still think you're better off getting it because it can provide some relief from the flu, and even if it was only 10% effective, it could prevent about 13,000 flu-related hospitalizations among the old people. And by the way, that's who's getting sick the most. It's most of the people being hospitalized have what they call some underlying medical condition, some problems with their immune system.
Your immune system's really screwed when you're old.
Yeah.
It's easy to get sick.
65 and older are most of them.
Yeah, because you're rotting on the inside.
93% of those hospitalized so far have at least one underlying medical condition. Most commonly, it's metabolic disorders, cardiovascular disease, and obesity. The sad news is 19 more children have died from this flu season. That brings the total number of children who have died 45 since the flu season began in the fall. Now, that's nationwide, but that's more than Ebola, John.
Yeah, so this government error by the people who missed.
Well, after all those kids were vaccinated.
Right, but this government error, though, could have killed children.
They're finding that 49% of people who tested positive for the flu had been vaccinated. That's nearly half.
Yeah. Well, they've got one job, and the one job is to pick the right strain. So why haven't they explained why were they so wrong? Like, what did they do wrong? Do they know?
The strain is actually called H3N2, and that's not the one that they put in the vaccine. So it's sad. According to the state health department, there have been, this is just New York, but just to give you the update about us, so far the map shows California is still in the moderate to low range.
Does the vaccine
still
last
big in the south and in the East Coast, huh?
Does the vaccine last for life, so we'll be protected some other year?
No,
it's only good for the year.
Well, no, it might last longer than the year, but it's not good for life.
Oh, all right.
No.
I was going to say, maybe.
Why do you think you get a shot every year?
Well, it's a different flu every year. It's
not
different
every
strain.
year. Not every year it isn't.
So I thought maybe, we'll be okay. This will work for maybe 2017.
No. L.A. County's reporting some shortages of the flu meds, such as Tamiflu. People are scarfing it up. There are a lot of pharmacies, hospitals, and healthcare facilities are requesting these medications just in case it's going to be a bad
flu I bet
season.
There's a lot of people faking the flu to get the medication.
And on the measles watch, things got so bad that a clinic in La Mesa had to immediately close because 5 people arrived with symptoms of the measles. So they're like, that's it. We can't.
Nice clinic.
Well, they were afraid.
Oh, my God, we've got sick people here. Let's close down.
Well, they're afraid other people walking in, particularly who may have other problems.
Well, then
that could that would get the measles. So where people touch and cough.
Okay, so where do you go?
Another clinic.
Measles? Well, you'll foul up that clinic. And same thing in your doctor's waiting room or an emergency room.
The 6 people were asked to cover their noses and mouths with masks. They were isolated from other patients in the facility's waiting room. but about 40 people were in the building at the time, so they eventually decided to shut down what's called the Sharp Center.
You know, if you get the flu, you might as well stay home. Don't go to the doctor because you might run into somebody with the measles.
It's a tough season, isn't it?
Yeah, you're already compromised with the flu, then the measles are going to kill you.
Oh,
or the other way around.
The measles don't kill everybody.
But if you have the measles and then you run into somebody with the flu, that's probably it for you.
That's the big whammy.
Can you get both at the same time? I suppose you could.
You sure
yeah.
could.
Yeah,
you absolutely could. I think the answer is just stay home.
Yeah,
don't talk to anybody. Don't see anybody. Just stay in your staring room. All right, the Moist Line is here at 6 o'clock Friday. It's next.
I need some staring time. John and Ken Show. Rob Archer is the news. KFI AM 640.